I know I'm a little late to this, but I wanted to wait until Destiny responded, and luckily he ended up responding, so now I feel like I can talk about it. Just in case you're not informed with what's been going on as of late, Destiny's wife potentially is seeking divorce. And he said a lot of things that were rather interesting because there was a lot of talk online and it really put things into perspective. So we're going to go ahead and dive into them. So let's go ahead and start off with this.
Every single thing that like Red Pillars predicted about my relationship, or every single thing that Red Pillars like said would happen, like literally the exact opposite of that happened the entire time. But like they'll also still try to find a way to twist it.
So essentially Destiny during his Red Pill arc, everybody was telling him that eventually there's going to be a Giga Chad who's going to come and sweep Melina off her feet, and he's going to have more money and he's going to be more emotionally stable, or whatever the case is. Now, as you guys know, it's the complete opposite, and that's what Destiny's referring to. So when Destiny said this, I was like, that's pretty interesting. It reminds me of a clip that I just recently saw.
I mean, the reality is you left the guy that you were with before for Destiny because Destiny had more status, he had more clout. If we're going to be all the way 1,000 here, like, this is what I mean. This is what I mean when...
Look at how these guys are just cheering for that. This man in the back for sure owns an inflatable doll. And as you guys know the details, this particular person who stole Melina from Destiny, he is highly unstable emotionally and is broke, financially broke. Like, you don't even need to bribe him with money. You could just bribe him with coupons. And just recently, Myron ended up coming out with, again, the same perspective, but this time he added a little more to it.
Like, having money and status, like, this is a perfect example of that. Like, having money and status isn't gonna get girls to be on your program if you don't got frame. Like, you gotta have frame too.
You gotta have that.
That's like huge. The money and status will just let her tolerate you a little bit longer, but it's not necessarily gonna get her in line. You gotta have that in your head, and then you're able to implement it. The money and status helps you with letting her know that you ain't gonna get this again, dummy. But at the end of the day, you still have to have the frame, whether you make $50K a year or $500K a year or $5 million a year.
And as you can see, he's talking about a frame, which if you go back to the Sauce Snake podcast, that particular episode where he's debating Melina, he mentions nothing about a frame, which is Destiny's point, that people are just going to take their beliefs and they're going to twist it or add extra details to make it seem like they called it.
Thoughts on Myron and the whatever dude acting like they called it. Seems a little backstabbing given the time you set aside. Remember, most people's predictions of the world, when people have ideologies, okay, your ideology has to predict everything. First of all, I've said anytime if me and Melina separate, obviously everybody's going to have their reasons and their opinions, and it plays into literally whatever narrative you want.
Yeah, so you can make the argument and say, well, you know, can't you just learn from your past mistakes like Myron, realizing that you do need a frame? Yeah, you can, but the problem is that, like, he's realizing it almost coincidentally when the event happens, when this is stuff that I believe you should be thinking about and learning as you go. Because even if you do go by that framing argument, I mean, Destiny came out and said that it's not even because he's a weak beta man, but because he's not really showing compassion to his wife. Does that really fit the frame thing? I mean, as broad as it is, that statement, you need to have frame, you could fit literally anything into it. You could say, oh, well, yeah, that's what it means. You need to have frame. You need to have compassion. You need to, but then again, it can also mean that you're weak and you need to have like this very charismatic, confident personality. If Myron is going based off of that interpretation, then technically Myron would be wrong. But aside from that point, I want to go ahead and say that Myron is really admirable. I'm going to show you my reason why in a bit, but I want to go ahead and show you how Destiny and Myron interact behind the scenes.
Myron is a really classy, respectful dude. Like, he DM'd me, he said he was sorry. I think he even said specifically when he texted me, I didn't even respond to him because my brain was so that I didn't respond to him. I think he said specifically, was like, yeah, like, bro, we're not gonna like go in on you like super hard and all that shit or whatever. Yeah, which I appreciated. I saw his comments. I thought they were fair, and that obviously I disagree with them, but like, I don't think he was like taking shots or being crazy or any stupid shit like that. So yeah, Myron is for as much as I disagree with him, and I think some things are kind of like the on the podcast and all that weird shit that I think are like scummy and I think Myron's like a stand-up guy. He is, or at least everything that I've seen, it seems to be the case that he is. Yeah,
and I agree with Destiny to a degree, man. I do respect Myron for that. I just wish that he would show the same sympathy towards women, which apparently supposedly he does, but I mean, like, in these regards, instead of just trying to kick women down, because I know that that's kind of what his podcast does. I wish he would just kind of more or less just sympathize with them and just kind of level down with them. But nevertheless, I do respect Myron for this, because he was very candid about it on his podcast, and he even mentioned that kicking a man down is probably the worst thing a person can do, and they're vile for that.
No, and I want to just preface this because I talked about this on Twitter yesterday. I like Destiny. He's a good person. I have a massive amount of respect for him. Anyone that can come into contrarian spaces and have debates and articulate himself, even though we don't necessarily always agree on everything, I have a massive amount of respect for. He's a good guy. I really have nothing bad to say about him.
Do you see how candidly he speaks about Destiny, and he even speaks about him in good light? Because him speaking about Destiny in this way could have had his community turn on him, talking about, oh, you know, why are you giving him sympathy? That's what he deserved. Myron is a very influential figure, and he could have just easily said what the people probably wanted to hear, which is, hey, that's what happens when you follow the blue pill, or whatever the case is. And not surprisingly enough, Destiny's opponents obviously did not take that ground, that high ground. Instead, what they did was they kind of just kicked them down, like Nick Fuentes, who ended up making a video about the situation, kicking Destiny down.
Dude, your merch sucks. Really? A black hoodie with a black zip up with your logo? What is this? Merch for a school shooter for the most this is like tranny school shooter merch. Man, it's so good. This is the guy, dude. This is the guy, by the way.
We also have a black t-shirt.
His merch is sick. His merch is way better than Destiny's merch.
It's the same generic shit. But the thing is that Nick is just attacking Destiny's essence in various aspects of his life. So it's like, bro, like, you don't even care. You just want to attack Destiny. It's quite obvious. And then Sneako too, he had to just give his 2 cents now that he's a lot richer because of streaming. And I just thought it was absolutely hilarious, man.
Over, bro. It's over. It's over. And I actually feel bad for Destiny, because I'm gonna be honest, I've known this couple for a while, and I knew this was gonna happen. It was very obviously inevitable that this woman was gonna get a green card and then leave him.
Sneako, be honest with me. You got locked out of your house because you had cap locks on, didn't you? What the f was that, dude? Like, I thought that Sneako was gonna drop some real wisdom, and instead he brings up the green card, the most generic red pill talking point ever. But no, wait, hang on. He's developed some new talking points that I've heard no one talk about, and these are a doozy, man.
And that nigga's 27 years old, he says, smiling. It's all like super standard abuser 101 type shit. It honestly blows my mind it works so easily on her. Well, because you allowed it. Because it doesn't, like, you can't let your woman be equal to you. Let your woman be equal to you. Be equal to you.
How many of you guys want to place a bet that Sneako can't get any worse than this?
Sneako should help Destiny? Man, what do you want me to do? The information was out there. Like, he spent months saying that everything that we talk about is bullshit.
It is bullshit, man. Because you haven't provided anything as of yet that proves that you guys predicted that this was going to be the case. You guys are saying that Melina disrespected Destiny, and that's the reason why she ended up leaving him for another guy, because he has no frame, whatever the case is. Listen, man, Destiny literally asked her to pay back $100,000 of whatever he was letting her borrow or paying for. My dude, that doesn't sound like somebody who is getting walked over. I know Destiny put it somewhere in that message that he was like a pushover. That does not sound like a pushover to me at all. That sounds like somebody who's demanding their funds back.
My therapist told me not to ask this in therapy because she said it was a really aggressive question, but I kind of had to. Like, I asked Mel, like, straight up, like, will you pay me back right now? Because I fronted her $100,000 for a lot of the Swedish tax shit. I was like, will you pay me back this money? Because I don't know now if we break up. Will you pay me retroactively your half of the back rent on this apartment? Because now it feels weird that, like, you haven't ever blah, blah, blah. And then will you sign a postnuptial agreement to just in case if we do divorce in the future, if we try again or blah, 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 like to protect my shit or whatever. And on every single one of these, Mel was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Yeah, it's fine. Like, she didn't fight. She didn't argue. She didn't, like, always, like, I don't think she's the kind of person to ever be like a gold digger or money. I know that, like, that's the red pill perception of it. But, like, again, like, these guys don't understand anything about relationships, or they only talk to gold diggers, I guess. Yeah.
For Destiny to just go up to her and ask her, like, hey, will you pay me back $100K? Like, that's crazy. You know, and the fact that she agreed to all of it, yeah, I'll pay you back for this. Yeah, I'll sign a prenuptials agreement. If this is not the blueprint that like so many red pillars like to claim that women are. I don't know, maybe you should look deeper into how women act. You know, maybe women aren't as one-dimensional as these red pillars like to say. But honestly, at the end of the day, I don't even know how much it matters, because the people who need to hear this are probably just going to disregard this video and are just going to say that I'm a hater of Fresh and Fit, I'm a hater of Sneako, whatever the case is. Listen, man, I've already given you guys as much evidence as possible for you guys to determine what is actually like rhetorically substantial. And if you still cannot determine who's the one that is just twisting the narrative and just trying to like make it seem like they predicted it all along, then I really don't know what else to do for you. Honestly, it's just going to take some time to break away from like that whole groupthink mentality, because at the moment you kind of like just serve the echo chamber. Once you get out of it and you're no longer a part of the red pill, you're going to see that a lot of the stuff that they were saying doesn't exactly line up with how women truly act. Yeah, I understand that some of the points that red pillars make, I think that some of it is true, but it's just way too broad and there's just way too many specifications for any of that to just legitimately help anybody in life. Like, wisdom is rarely acquired. You have to actually go through the experience, because there's always going to be some very nuanced emotion that most people can only experience only if they experience the actual moment. As shown with Destiny and Melina have a very complex relationship. It's not just as simple as saying, oh yeah, she's just in it for the money. Bro, it's obvious that that's not what Melina's about. Like, you know, she went with like some guy who's like jobless, according to Destiny, doesn't make any money. Like, I mean, I don't know, what else do you want, you know? So anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there, man. Let me know what you guys think. Go ahead and leave it in the comment section. I know that some people, very few people, are gonna be completely biased and are just gonna hate comment, hate watch this video, just dislike it. That's fine. Go ahead, let me hear you out. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna go ahead and leave it there. That's all I have for you guys. And yeah, hopefully you guys learned something today.